Hey everyone, I'm Joe, and today I'm doing the answers part for my Milestone Q&A. This is the personal and professional section, and before I start, can I just say thank you to everybody who has ever subscribed to me on my channel, because frankly this is both marking the milestone of me being on BookTube for 4 years and the fact that I've recently gained 1,000 subscribers. And frankly, the fact that 1,000 people have subscribed to me is frankly remarkable, because I still think of myself, and as far as I'm aware I still am, an awkward English guy who talks about a unusual range of science fiction and fantasy books on BookTube, and the fact that 1,000 people subscribe to me despite that, maybe because of it, I'm not sure, is frankly remarkable. I mean, at this point I thought I would have maybe a few hundred subscribers, so I'm way ahead of where I thought I might be at this point, which I'm really grateful for and feel highly honoured by, because I'm just surprised more than anything else. I really am. So, on to the questions, of which there are 21 in total, and the first of which is, what is your favourite food? And this is one that I can't really give you a proper answer for, because my favourite food can change like books over time. A food type that I've particularly been enjoying over the last year and a half is Japanese food. I've eaten out at various Japanese places several times over the last year, and I've got quite an interest in it now, so I want to try and experiment with more Japanese style food, and hopefully that will continue. But also I'm trying to experiment in general at the moment with all types of food, because my overall variety of food that I eat is fairly limited. So in the last few years, and indeed this will continue, I'm trying to expand what I'm eating, same as I'm doing with books and these other things, to be honest. The second question is also food related, and that is, what are your least favourite foods? And for this I actually do have an answer, because there are two things in particular that I really do not like. One of them, it's going to sound a bit strange, is gravy. I do not like gravy on my food in any way. When I was growing up, my mum did us perfectly nice food. However, my sisters always liked a lot of gravy on things, so the plate had large amounts of gravy on it, and I was never very keen on this. And I think now that I'm older, I've kind of got to the point where I hate gravy now with a vengeance. Just the thought of gravy makes me feel sick. I think basically I had too much gravy when I was younger, and now I can't stand stuff, frankly. And the other thing is cake, surprisingly. And I know people will comment on this one, because I do not like cake at all. Birthday cake or any sort of cake you have for Christmas, anything basically like that, I cannot stand it at all. I'm not much of a I don't have much of a sweet tooth, to be honest, as well. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of chocolate even, which sounds strange to people, but I'm not. And I just, anything sort of too sweet and sugary is like, no, it just puts me off really bad. Number 3 is also food related, and that is, what are your go-to guilty pleasure snacks? And for this, I don't really have that many, frankly, because like I said, I don't really like sort of sweets and chocolate and sort of snack food as such. About the nearest thing would be biscuits. I do quite like biscuits, in particular McVitie's chocolate digestives. I'm not sponsored by McVitie's, by the way, obviously. They are obviously a well-known British biscuit. I think all countries may or may not sell them, but if they're not, they also have something very similar to them. And there's a few other biscuits that I like as well, so I like them sometimes when I'm reading, for instance. I'll have some biscuits by me, not always though, because sometimes obviously it makes your hands a mess, and then it makes turning the pages difficult, so only occasionally I like biscuits. Number 4 is, what is the most unusual food that you enjoy? And I'd have to say for this, I'm going to say a food that I haven't had often. Actually, I've only ever had it once in my life, but it is definitely the most unusual thing I've ever eaten, and that is squid. I had it in Iceland 4 years ago, and it was unusual. I wouldn't say I disliked it, I wouldn't say I liked it. It was just different. It was just strange, because it was, the texture of it was unusual, and the taste was, well, it didn't have much of a strong taste either way. So it was just strange, frankly, more than anything else. And the 5th question is the last food related question, and that is, what is the most unusual food you have eaten that you would not eat any of again? And for this, there is a very easy answer for this, because about 3 years ago I tried some Jamaican jerked chicken, and I hated it because it felt like I was eating lava, basically. My inside of my mouth felt like it was burnt for about 3 or 4 days, and I literally could not eat anything for like 2 days afterwards. I was in agony with this food. It was horrible, and I only ate a small piece of it, and it just, oh no, I hated it with a vengeance. I mean, it's just the thought of that jerk chicken is like, oh no, it's unpleasant, frankly, because it was so painful. I mean, just the intensity of the spice in it was agony, truly agony. Question 6 is, how many siblings do you have, and do they like to read too? So, I am the youngest of 5 children, and I have 4 older sisters. Now, the 2 oldest sisters both like to read, and indeed they would read just as much as I did, if it weren't for the fact that they are married with children, so obviously that affects them as well, and obviously work and stuff, so they can't read as much as they'd like. They did read a reasonable amount though, considering, but nowhere near what they would otherwise do. My one sister likes the idea of reading and appreciates reading, and indeed she will encourage her children to read, but she doesn't read herself. And then my remaining sister doesn't like reading, and indeed doesn't understand reading, and she just finds the idea that anybody reads for fun as frankly laughable. And I've never quite understand her point of view. I mean, we kind of neither of us understand the other in this particular regard, because she doesn't understand why I read, I don't understand why she doesn't. Yeah, it's just one of them things. Question 7 is, have you told anyone that you do booktube, like friends or family? And frankly, yeah, most people know that I do booktube, at least family-wise anyway. You know, all my family members do, my nieces and nephews all know I do, a few of my friends do. I don't advertise the fact that I do booktube, but I don't exactly hide it either. You know, if it comes up in conversation about, you know, if I'm talking about books, which with me does happen, you know, more than you think, obviously, then yes, I'll bring in booktube maybe. I mean, and also certain people, like my mum, for instance, because I talk about booktube with my mum more than anybody else. My mum knows some of the booktubers by name as well, and will ask after them. So yeah, it's quite nice sometimes when my mum's asking me how Rachel's been lately, and how her garden and all her vegetables and that are getting on and stuff like that. It just makes me smile. Question 8 is, what other hobbies and interests do you have? And for this, there are probably 3 main ones really, and that is, I like listening to music, and I have a very large music collection, which is over there, which you have never seen. One day I might end up showing it. The other is, I like going to the cinema, as you may know, because I do a monthly cinema video nowadays. I've always been interested in cinema, and I've always gone to the cinema an awful large amount of times. I've probably, and I worked this out a few days ago, been to cinema roughly around 1,000 times at this point in my life, which is a lot. And the other one is, I like playing computer games as well, which is something that I never talk about on my channel, because, well, it is a booktube channel after all, but I do like playing computer games. So, you know, it's just, I don't talk about them because nobody, booktube wise, is that interested in it, at least, I don't think. Question 9 is actually somewhat related to this, accidentally, and that is, do you prefer to play board games or video games? And to be honest, despite the fact I do play video games, and I don't really very often play board games, I would prefer, ideally, to play board games. The only reason that I don't is because board games, obviously, are in person, and you need other people that are interested in board games to play them with you. And none of my family or none of my friends are interested in board games. So, computer games are this alternative choice, basically, to playing board games for me. Which, yeah, it's one of them things. I mean, if I knew people that are interested in board games, I would play them more often, because I really do enjoy board games. I just don't have that opportunity at the moment. We'll see in the future though. Question 10 is, what is your favourite movie and why? Now this, like the favourite food, I don't really have an answer for, because this changes over time. I mean, maybe when I was younger I would have had a favourite film, then as I got older it would change again and again. It changes all the time, and also it changes, well not changes, it varies depending on the genre of film as well. You know, there are science fiction films that I think are brilliant, there are sort of big blockbuster sort of action films that I think are brilliant, and there are the more indie films that I also think are fantastic for their own reasons. So it really varies. Although one decade that I have a particular fondness for, I mean, I happen to be born in that decade as well, although that didn't really have much of an influence, I suppose, is the 80s. I think the 80s were a brilliant decade for movies. There was lots of good classic films made in the 80s, which are just frankly brilliant and still survive today well. And indeed, Hollywood are currently reproducing many of them poorly at the moment. Question 11 is, I think you once mentioned that you don't watch TV. What turned you off watching? Now, for context, almost a year ago, in March 2017, I cancelled my cable TV subscription service and I got rid of my TV. So I do not own a TV anymore. Actually, my TV used to be just here, about a foot away from where I'm sitting now. And frankly, I didn't get put off by anything particularly as such. It's just, I would come in sometimes and put the TV on, and I'd put something on, like for instance, one channel in particular, every weekday between 6 and 7 o'clock, they would show 2 episodes of The Simpsons back to back. And I would come in and just put that on and watch Simpsons for an hour. And I didn't like the fact that it was so mindless. I'd just come in and I'd sit there and watch an hour of TV or whatever program it is, whether it's Simpsons or episode of Stargate or something, probably that I've watched multiple times before. And it would just waste time as such, because I'd watched it before, I wasn't doing anything new. And frankly, I didn't watch things anyway that much, so I just thought, well, why have a TV when I don't even watch the thing? I mean, I used to only watch it a few times a week, so I got rid of it, and I haven't even noticed, to be honest, as well, because I don't regret it, because there was never anything really ever that I was interested in. Question 12 is related to my TV, and that is there any anime that you enjoy? And frankly, no, there isn't. When I was growing up, anime was never a part of my childhood, because the channels that we had in my house when we was growing up, none of them had anime channels on them, and we didn't have that many children's channels, to be honest. So I just didn't get exposed to anime in any sense, and to be honest, I didn't even really know what anime was until I was close to 20, because none of my friends really were interested in it that much as well. It's just one of them things, where exposure equals you liking it, and I didn't have any exposure to it. Question 13 is, what is your favourite season and why? And this is basically a kind of a combination of 2 seasons. In an ideal world, it would be the temperatures and the weather of winter, because I do not like the heat, but I can cope in the cold extremely well. But I like the longer summer days and also the lighter days, because it means you can actually read without needing lights on, which is extremely nice and it's less frustrating. So if you could have a perfect season, it would be those 2 combined. Ultimately though, I'd have to say possibly at the moment, without that sort of hybrid season, I'd probably have to say it's just as it's turning from spring into summer, because for a few weeks then you have the longer days, but you also have lighter days and you still have colder temperatures, which is about as close to perfect as you can get for me personally. Question 14 is, what science fiction technology or discovery would you like to see become real in your lifetime and why? And frankly, there's only really one that I've ever been bothered about, and that would be some form, whether it's in any manner, of the Star Trek transporter. Basically, I want to be able to travel instantly from one point to another point, whether it's via the traditional Star Trek transporter or through some other science fiction series instant travel method. I don't mind. I just think that would be really nice, because then I could travel to other places in the world and eliminate obviously having to go through airports and all that kind of stuff, which frankly nobody really enjoys. Everybody would prefer to just go from here to there with no problem. Make things easier, cheaper, and just nicer, frankly. Question 15 is favourite bands or musical artists. And this is a slightly tricky one, because again, I don't have any one real favourite, although one in particular does stand out, and that would have to be the Foo Fighters, which is headed, and it is the frontman of, by Dave Grohl. Dave Grohl is obviously known for Nirvana years before with Kurt Cobain, and just, I don't know, I've always liked the Foo Fighters, and indeed I've got every single album they've done, other than their newest one, because I do need to update my album collection a bit actually at the moment, so in a few months I'll buy some new albums. And indeed, any suggestions in the future for albums, go ahead, although considering you don't know what I like, that might be not very useful, to be honest. Question 16 is, what are some of your favourite memories growing up? And this I can't really answer, because frankly there's just too many. I have an extremely good memory, plus I have a really good childhood growing up, a very happy childhood. So I have lots of good memories. So saying any one particular memory is, frankly, it's kind of impossible to say because there's too many of them. I start thinking, oh, hang on, that was a nice memory, and then I think, but this other one's just as good. And that keeps happening and happening and happening. So, I had a good childhood and I had lots of happy memories, frankly, that's all I can say. Question 17 is, what places have you travelled outside of England? And for this, that is actually extremely easy because the list is extremely short. Actually, it only has 3 places on it. And that is Wales, because we used to have a holiday to Wales when I was growing up, family holiday. Ireland, specifically Dublin and surrounding areas around Dublin, again, because my dad is from Dublin originally, and I have relatives all around the Dublin area, so, family holiday. And the other one is Iceland, as I mentioned earlier in the video. 4 years ago, I went to Iceland with 2 friends of mine, and it was really, really good. It was just quite an experience, really, frankly, because it's the first time I've ever been outside the UK, and that would be quite an achievement, frankly, for me. Question 18 is, do you have any habits you would consider unique or unusual? And to be honest, I don't really think I've got any unusual ones that really stand out amongst other people. I mean, I've got a very peculiar thing that I can do with my thumbs, which I'm not going to bother trying to show you on camera because it just I did try, but you just can't really see. Basically, I've got double jointed thumbs, and my thumbs go back weirdly far. It looks kind of freaky. And other than that, there isn't really any sort of unusual things I can do, or indeed mental or physical particularly. And finally, we get on to the professional related questions, of which there are only 3. And indeed, I'm going to say these 3 questions one after another because basically they're all kind of interconnected and all linked into one thing. And those are, what do you do for a living? What industry do you work in and how did you get into it? And the third question is, did you go to college, university? And if so, what did you study? Now, this section is going to be the shortest because it's one area on my booktube channel that I'm not very keen to talk about. I don't mind talking about personal stuff, as you know, but talking about working things and education, I want to keep that section of my life separate from my booktube and what anybody else knows about, because there's just there's quite a few reasons why I want to keep this separate. So I will say that my education, and indeed I did go to college, has been in IT. I work with computers, and indeed that's what I got into from school. When I was in school, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but I did have an interest in computers, so it just seemed natural to go into it. And then I went to college and stuff, and started working in it, and that's kind of it. That's what I've been doing since. Although whether I want to do that for all of time, though, I don't think so. Actually, I would like to do something different, I think, but we'll see about that. And indeed, that's why one of the reasons why I'm not happy to talk about it at the moment, because I do want to change certain things in this regard. And with those questions, that is actually it for this part of my Q&A. There will be part 2, which will focus on all the book-related questions, of which there are even more questions about than this half, in a different video in a few days' time. But for now, that is it. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you another day. Bye for now.